Good afternoon. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. I'm actually coming to you today from the library here in Deptford, New Jersey, because I actually have a meeting with a client. And yeah, that's the great thing about being mobile and having all this equipment and being able to do it anywhere that I am. I even do it outside sometimes with broadcasting through cellular if Wi Fi networks are not available. Well, it's great to be with you. We kicked off the master topic just the other day, and that was the power of presence, how slowing down awakens what matters most. And so today's granular topic that we're going to get into is integrity in action, living right when no one's watching. This is series 4, show 30, episode number 3. Hey guys, if you're coming here for the first time, I want to say welcome to you. Again, apologize for the lighting today. Again, I'm not in my studio. Had that challenge with the hotel because didn't bring all kinds of lights with me. Lighting was not the way I wanted, but we're getting the message out there. I know those of you on the audio podcast don't really notice that, but just wanted to apologize for you guys out there. So I am here at the Deptford Library today, if you guys are wondering. And I want to welcome you to the show if this is your first time. And if it's not your first time, well, I'd like to welcome you back to the show. Hey, and if you have not checked out believemeachieve.com, what are you waiting for, friends? Go ahead and check it out after the show, that is, at believemeachieve.com for more of my short form and long form content. If you're thirsty, I just had lunch, so that's why I don't have anything with me right now. Found a local Friendly's. There aren't too many Friendly's around in the state. Had a delicious Philly cheesesteak sandwich with which is basically a jack cheese, which is really good. And then a happy ending sundae, cookies and cream, and hot fudge. No whipped cream, no cherry, didn't need that. So again, welcome to everyone, and a very, very big welcome to everyone here, and to another transformative episode of the Inspirations for Your Life podcast, where I go beyond surface level inspiration and dive deep into the truths that shape meaningful, lasting success. And I am not only your host, podcast coach, serial entrepreneur, graduate student, engineer, video producer, and so much more. It is such a privilege to be with you here today because I'm exploring a virtue that doesn't need an audience, but leaves a legacy. What is it? Integrity. In a world fueled by instant validation and likes, we often forget that the most powerful moments happen in silence. Yeah, silence. I think that's something interesting to think about, that you never thought that the most important moments actually happened in silence. And just to ponder that, for I'd say just a moment. I think that's pretty cool to be able to know what silence is, and to really, I'm going to say, embrace silence, right? It's something that a lot of people just don't realize when no one's watching. And in this episode, I'm going to uncover 15 truths about integrity that will reshape how you lead, live, and love. Even when no one is looking, let's eliminate the quiet power of doing right simply because, well, it's the right thing to do. All right. So let's dive right into the show. Integrity is invisible, proof of your character. And so what you do in the absence of recognition reflects the truest version of you. Integrity doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly in your choices, words, and follow through. You don't need to prove yourself when your actions consistently match your values. See, that silent proof becomes your reputation, whether you realize it or not. That is a big, big key, ladies and gentlemen. And number 2 is do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient. Integrity often asks for, well, sacrifice. It may cost you time, comfort, or even opportunities. But what you gain in self-respect is worth far more. The right thing isn't about something being easy all the time, but it's always right. It's in those uncomfortable moments that your true values step forward and shape the direction of your life and really emphasize the character of who you really are. Number 3, character is built when no one's clapping, no one's watching, right, or applauding. Applause can be addicting, but character is carved in the quiet confines. When you're doing the hard work, making the tough calls, or walking away from shortcuts without anyone seeing, you're building something far more valuable than recognition. You're building unshakable internal strength. Number four, private decisions create public reputation. The things you decide in silence, how you treat others, how you speak when people aren't listening, how you manage power, these accumulate and spill over into how the world experiences you. A trusted reputation is not a marketing strategy, folks. Sorry to say. It's the fruit of a private integrity. And see, when you are coming from that integrity, not because you have to, but because you want to, people then are impressed. Don't do it for a cheap marketing ploy because it's just going to burn you. Number five, your conscience is your truest judge. Before the world weighs in, your inner voice always knows. Are you proud of your choice? Would you repeat it even if exposed? Your conscience is the only audience that truly matters. And when it's clear, peace follows. That's important to understand. Number six, integrity means choosing truth over comfort. Sometimes telling the truth or doing what's right can bring discomfort, awkwardness, or conflict. But integrity doesn't shy away from those things. It values what's right over what's easy and chooses long term respect over short term ease or convenience. Cutting corners cuts into your values. What feels like a harmless shortcut often chips away at your values. And integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about refusing to compromise your standards for speed, for status, or simplicity. Every corner cut is a compromise added to your character's balance sheet. You can't afford that. Number eight, what you allow in secret shapes who you are. Even the things no one else knows about you, the habits, the choices, or silent responses, shapes your inner self. It's easy to pretend externally, but your inner world holds the blueprint for the life you're creating. Guard your hidden life well. Strong ethics don't need an audience. When ethics are genuine, they don't perform, right? They show up whether people are watching or not because they're wired into your belief system, your core values. We talked about this before. Doing right becomes your natural reflex, not a staged moment, right? Not a marketing moment. Number 10, standards matter even when they're unseen. Having high standards isn't about perfectionism, it's about consistency. Whether anyone is looking or not, integrity keeps the bar high. It teaches you to self monitor with pride, not pressure. Number 11, your quiet choices echo loudly over time. Today's unnoticed decision could influence tomorrow's opportunity. The world eventually catches up to, well, your quiet choices. They may not go viral, but they are building a reputation that precedes you and speaks louder than any resume ever could or would. Number 12, live your values not just when it's easy. Yeah, this is a hard one for a lot of people, especially those just coming fresh out of college, because their friends say to do this and then someone else says to do this, but then they have that juxtapoint of, well, if they do this, they could lose a friend. Well, that wasn't really a friend in the first place. It's easy to act ethically when everything is smooth and going fine. The real test comes in the storm. Will you stand firm when pressured, tested, or even exhausted? Living your values under pressure is where true integrity is forged. Number 13, temptation tests integrity. Resistance proves it. Integrity isn't just about avoiding wrong, it's about recognizing when temptation comes knocking and choosing to walk away. The ability to resist, not because of fear, but because of purpose, shows true inner alignment. That's important, guys. Who you are alone is who you truly are. When the lights are off and the crowd is gone, what choices do you make? What thoughts do you entertain? That version of you, the raw, unfiltered you, is the one that defines your true identity. Open that space with honor. Number 15. True leaders lead themselves first. Let me say that again. True leaders lead themselves first. Leadership without self integrity is, well, manipulation. You can't guide others if you can't trust your own compass. Leading yourself, making right choices, setting strong examples, honoring your word is the first and greatest act of leadership. I know so many people that get up on a pedestal, but yet they don't even believe the stuff coming out of their mouth. So if you can't believe what's coming out of your mouth, how can somebody else do it? And if you're doing it for false pretenses, and guess what? You're manipulating somebody. That's not a smart thing, guys. Not a smart thing. And I think, talking about integrity is something that a lot of people like to push under the carpet. Why? Well, because they feel that it's not important, right? Integrity can be faked. Integrity can be, well, placated. And in some cases, you get by with it. But if you keep showing up with that type of bad integrity, you're going to develop a reputation. Let's talk about credit for a moment, right? What happens if you pay a bill late? Well, your credit goes down. A lot? No, but it goes down some points, a few points. If you keep doing that, you know what happens? Your credit goes down, and then it becomes harder and harder to recover from that one mistake. After you've missed 2 payments, you're down in 3 payments. Well, it's really, really difficult. I mean, you're talking 7 years. Here's the part of the show I really like, guys. I am going to give you, I like the whole show, but I'm going to give you a personal lesson or story for each point that I shared today. And I'm hoping that this will, let's say, drive some inspiration to you to operate on integrity even when no one else is watching. I think that's a very hard thing for a lot of people because they figure, well, if I do this or I do this, no one's going to know. No one's going to know. But yes, they are going to know. You're going to know. And I think I think that should be enough. When somebody else knows, then you've already kind of, well, disgraced yourself. Can you recover from it? Sure. You can say, look, I made a mistake. And, life is not about being perfect, but it's about being honest and doing the right thing. How many of us remember being in our home and maybe we broke something, right, when we were younger? And we figured that, we're going to try to hide it or pass it up on your brother if you had a brother. I didn't have a brother. Maybe you have some friends that came over and they're like brothers. So I remember this time, and then I'll get into some of my main stories, but I remember this time when, so we were playing ball in the house. You're not supposed to play ball in the house, but we were playing ball in the house. And it was a Nerf ball too, right? But you know what happened? The Nerf ball hit. My friend missed it. He said a few choice words. Bam, bam, bam. And before you know it, this beautiful loved vase by my mom just kind of fell on the floor and broke. And we're all like, what do we do? So like, okay, well, we've got some glue. We can try to glue it. So just a FYI, if you try to glue glass, even with clear glue, it doesn't really work well. So let me tell you what happened. So this was a beautiful vase with a nice little picture and everything on it. And we glued this back, which took us a few hours. And we figured, okay, we're set. Well, my dad brings home some flowers. And my mom says, oh, would you get the vase that's, on the curio cabinet, the one that I always like so much? Oh. And so I was like, are you sure you want that one? I can get you another one. No, I want that one because it'll go good with the flowers. Oh, okay. So I get the vase, she puts some water in it. And she brings them to the table and we're having dinner. And about halfway through dinner, water starts spraying out of different parts, very small, but then bigger and bigger. And then finally, I'm like, Mom, so Brendan was over today. Actually, he's still here. And we were playing ball in the house. She told us not to play ball in the house. And, well, one of us, Brendan or I, didn't catch the ball. I'm not sure who. And, well, we broke your vase. Which one of you? Well, we're both responsible. Right, Brendan? Yeah. Now, Brendan was the one uh, that actually threw the ball. I was the one that missed the ball, right? And we think about that. I said, Mom, I'm really sorry. I wanted to fix this. But what I learned is that the more you tried to cover it up, the worse it became. Punishment is often, let's say, non existent when there's a genuine admission of guilt and it was not done intentionally. Integrity is invisible proof of your character. What you do in the absence of recognition reflects the truest version of you. Integrity doesn't announce itself, it shows up quietly in your choices, words, and follows through. You don't need to prove yourself when your actions, as I said, consistently match your vibes. I remember leaving my wallet behind at the gas station during a hectic road trip. No one saw me return to that station 2 hours later, not to retrieve it, but to return an extra $20 they mistakenly gave me when I stopped for snacks. No one expected it, but I did. That moment reminded me that integrity is like a shadow. It's always with you, even when no one notices. Pretty amazing, right? Do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient or maybe uncomfortable. Integrity often asks for sacrifice. It may cost you time, comfort, or convenience, or maybe even your pride. Years ago, I was offered a partnership deal that could have brought in major amounts of money earlier. But the contract had some fine print I knew wasn't fair to our clients. Walking away meant turning down a very big opportunity. And yes, it stung at the time. But years later, I realized that saying no built more trust and integrity in our brand than any flashy deal ever could. Character is built when no one's clapping or watching. Don't expect the stage. I once spent several months mentoring a struggling intern after hours. No one knew except him and I. It wasn't part of my job description, but years later, he called me to say that quiet guidance changed the direction of his life. That's when I realized applause fades, but impacts echo. Private decisions create public reputation, right? The things you decide in silence, how you treat others. Once I overheard a colleague speaking poorly about someone who had just left the room. That moment made me reflect and it turned my stomach. What do I say about people when they're not around? Since then, I made a commitment to speak the same behind someone's back as I would to their face. And that shift has changed how people relate to me. Your conscience is your truest judge. Before the world weighs in, your conscience reigns. There was a time I had to admit to a client that I'd made a small error in a report. They hadn't noticed, but my conscience wouldn't let it go. I called them the next morning to correct it. They respected my honesty, but more importantly, I could sleep peacefully that night. What happened? Well, one of the processing transactions of the sale actually got doubled. It was an innocent mistake, but when I caught it, I could have just let it go and said, "Oh, it's more profit." I said, "No, I'm going to do the right thing and tell them about it and refund them." Mistakes happen, right? But it's our character and how we respond to those mistakes. Integrity means choosing truth over comfort, even though we all like that warm blanket, right? I once had to fire someone I liked personally, but they were consistently breaking the rules and harming our team morale. The easy route would have been to ignore it, but choosing that hard truth protected the entire team. And it told me that leadership sometimes means being uncomfortably honest. Cutting corners cuts into your values. What feels like a harmless shortcut often chips away at your values and core. In my early days, I rushed a small project to meet a deadline and skipped the testing phase. It came back to haunt me. We had to redo the entire project. That experience taught me something valuable. Shortcuts might save time, but they rarely save you from consequences. Let's talk about Wendy's for a second, right? You all remember Where's the Beef commercial? Many of you may or may not remember that. And so they had Where's the Beef? And then they also had They Don't Cut Corners, right? So if you look at a typical Wendy's burger, right, they're square, okay? If you go to another place for a burger, they're not square, they're round. So they're saying we're not cutting the corners. And that became a marketing thing, but also went into their food. So it gave them something that they stood for and the way they operated their company. What you allow in secret shapes who you are. I used to think no one would notice if I skipped journaling or meditation now and then. But after a few weeks of cutting those corners in private, my energy and focus dropped. That's when I realized private discipline fuels public excellence. Strong ethics don't need an audience, guys. Ethics need to be genuine, but you don't have to prove it to anyone. Once, while walking in a parking lot, I saw someone drop a $50 bill without realizing it. Now, it wasn't that the bill was just there and I picked it up and no one was around. I picked it up. I tapped him on the shoulder and I returned it to them. I think I actually said, excuse me, sir. Yes? I think you dropped this. This came out of your pocket. I did? You did, sir. There were no cameras, no thank you needed. It just felt like the only option. That's what ethics hardwired into you looks like. It comes from your upbringing, your parents. And I think we foster this and push this onto other people we mentor, whether they're younger or older. Standards matter, even when they're unseen. A standard that my content, whether podcast, blog, or talk, always adds value, even if only one person tunes in. I bring the same energy. It's not about the numbers. It's about respecting my audience, my value, myself, and giving all I have. That's why I show up every day. I don't do it because I have millions of followers or 175,000. I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I love inspiring others. And you know what? And it helps me too to relearn these lessons. Your quiet choices echo loudly over time. Years ago, I gave a fellow entrepreneur some free advice without expecting anything in return. Fast forward, he later referred me to a major opportunity. I wasn't even chasing it at the time. Your unseen generosity often circles back louder than, well, you expect. Live your values, not just when it's easy. Anyone can do the right thing when it's easy, right? But when it's hard, it's challenging, that's when it's important too. During a family emergency, I was under immense stress. I almost lashed out at a colleague due to miscommunication, but pausing to realign with my values in that moment preserved a relationship that could have been damaged for good. I want to tie this into a lesson that I'm having right now. Many of you guys know I'm going back to my master's degree of science AI. And we're studying a concept in discrete math now about basically an if-then. I'm not going to bore you with all the conditions, but my point is that sometimes we look at one part of the answer and we think that's the answer. We have to realize that there might be another step that still has to be completed before we can truly solve. I think too many people jump to conclusions, so we have to choose whether it's true, whether it's false, or whether it's a contingency. So true means it's always true in all the conditions. False means it's always false. Contingency means sometimes it's true, sometimes it's false. I think we have to look at things a couple times from different angles. And when we do that, you know what happens? We start to gain value in ourselves. Temptation tests integrity. Resistance will always prove it. I once had access to confidential competitor pricing info by mistake. The temptation to peek was real, but I deleted it immediately. That moment reminded me that resisting what's wrong, even when you could get away with it, is integrity in motion. So many people out there are just doing whatever they have to. And when they see some way they can cheat or they can get ahead, they do it. But then after you reach the goal or the aspiration, like, I don't really deserve this. You want to feel that you deserve what you're going after. Who you are alone is who you truly are when the lights are off and the crowd's gone. What choices do you make? What thoughts do you entertain? The version of you, the raw, the unfiltered you, is the one that defines your true identity. Own that space and honor it, as I said. At night, I ask myself, would I be proud if today was public? That self-check keeps me grounded. That me moment, that one sees how I treat people, how I handle frustration, how I spend time. That's the me I'm most accountable to. Ask yourself that question now. If you chose to make today public so everyone could view it like it was being videotaped, would you be okay with that? And if you're not, then maybe your integrity needs to be adjusted. Just being honest. True leaders lead themselves first. You can't try to lead others if you don't know where you're going yourself. Leadership without self-integrity, as I said before, is manipulation. People can package it under all different things because they're CEOs, they have all these fancy titles. But at the end of the day, they're just high-paid, glorified manipulators. You want to motivate and get people to come along because you believe in it yourself. I learned early on that if I wanted to build a team that trusted and respected me, I had to walk my own talk. That meant being early, staying honest, and doing the things, well, I asked of others. Integrity isn't about telling people what to do. It's about showing them how it's done. And I think the problem with a lot of leaders in our world is they only want to tell you, they don't want to show you. And the reason they don't want to show you is because they don't even know how to do it themselves. And yet they're expecting you to do something they don't know how. There's something wrong with that picture. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to catch you real soon. I hope you remember, always live your life with integrity, and it will reward you. I promise you.